and welcome to Tyre Mini Reads, Reviews, Discusses, Monologues about everything and anything, and that's on period. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. So, I woke up this morning and it was chilly, not so cold, but like you needed a jacket, and I was like, is it fall? I smell snow. So, anyways, I was like, this is a great time and opportunity for me to film a fall or books that are, fall books that I would recommend to read in fall. And these kind of books are, how would I classify them? Is spooky, macabre, suspense filled, and you just kind of get that, gloomy-ish feel going on, which is how I felt this morning, to be quite honest. So I'm also going to categorize them into two buckets. So one bucket will be books that are not so hyped, that probably a lot of people haven't heard about them, but they definitely are spooky and, they fit into that bracket. And I think about 2 or 3 books that are super hyped and are perfect, perfect for fall, getting into fall weather and, fall season. So let's get started. So the first book that I'm going to kind of recommend for, and this will be on the overhyped books, would be Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Now, I've kind of talked about this book a lot on this channel because I read this early this year and it was a 5-star read. I can't say the same about Rootless Vows, but we're not going to go there. But I think Divine Rivals, as just by itself, as a standalone, chef's kiss. Now, this book is set in a kind of a mythical world where there's magic, but it's kind of soft magic. So it's like an illusionist kind of thing going on where there's kind of like some magic, but it's not really the focus of the story, is the best way I would say it. We have 2 people, Iris and what was his name? Rowan, I think. Roman. So Iris and Roman are they are co-workers, and they do not actually like themselves. And so through some mysterious typewriter, that they each have a typewriter, they are able to communicate through a wardrobe, which is a fascinating concept. And they start exchanging this heartfelt letters. The letters are rich. The letters are lyrical. I mean, that's just one of the things that makes this such a fantastic story. Also, it's kind of set, the background is like there's this war that's looming. So you have this sense of dread and just like, ooh, something's happening and you're not really sure, if it's going to go this way or that way. So that's why I think this is such a great book for fall. And also, it's super easy to get into if you just like, it's a little heavy on the romance, to be quite honest, but I think that also adds to, the appeal of the book. So, this, Divine Rival was a 5-star read for me. I definitely will recommend it every time, everywhere, every time, every day. So the next book that I want to discuss will be a underhyped one where I haven't really seen a lot of people talking about this book. And the author is not someone this is not her first rodeo, but I'm talking about Bonesmith by Nicki Preto. Now, Nicki Preto wrote the Crown of Feathers trilogy, which is a YA book. I have it somewhere on my shelves, but that trilogy was so fantastic. It had to do with Phoenix Riders, which I was like, that is such an awesome concept that you don't see done. Mostly we're all like about dragons and all of that stuff, but I digress. So Bonesmith is about this this world where, again, the magic is kind of implied. It's not really like the focus of the story, right? But then we have this young girl called Ren, who is who belongs to the House of Bones, and she is testing out to go up the ladders to become something called a Valkyrie, which is basically like a warrior in her house. Now, in this world, the houses or the groups are set based on like elemental magic. So you have the House of Bones, House of Blood, you have House of Gold, you have Iron, House of Iron. So it's like elemental stuff that we see, but their magic is based off of that, right? And so why I think this is a good book for fall is because as a House of Bone person, she learns how to manipulate bones, basically corpses, dead corpses and skeletons and stuff like that. And it's actually really spooky. It's like a political backdrop because there's so much infighting among the houses, and so that kind of sets off, a intriguing plot. And then also it is kind of has like an insta love thing going on, but I wasn't opposed to it because I don't think it took away from the story. I think the story as its own still stood up for itself. So this is a good read if you like young YA. It's not so young. They're about 17, 18. And, it has to do with like, reanimation of like dead people and, graveyards and really, really spooky stuff, magic that's kind of going on. I loved it when I read this book. It's actually a duology. The next book in the series is Ghostsmith. I really do need to pick it up, but I remember when I read this one was a fantastic read. Now I'm going to talk about one specific book that is just hyped right, and that would be Spin and Silver by Naomi Novik, which Spin and Silver is a fae book. We have Miriam, who is the daughter of a moneylender, and her dad is probably not suited to be a moneylender, so he does not really do a good job. And so we see her stepping into his shoes and having to hound people for the money that they owe them. And she has to do it in very, enterprising ways. And that kind of draws the attention of the Fae King. And she is, swept into that part of the world. And she, encounters the Fae, whatever. The atmosphere is really, 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 it's cool. We're talking about Winterland, so everything is more like ice and cool and very, very subtle magic. So I think Spin and Silver, I mean, you can read it all year round, but I especially love reading it in the fall because it's just really, really, it's just really, really gloomy, and it fits right into that category. Now, one book that I am going to say that it's underhyped. I don't really see or hear a lot of people talk about it, but I think people should talk about it, will be The Helm of Midnight by Marina Lostetter. I have also talked about this book. This is a phenomenal read. I read it about 2 years back. This is a trilogy, and it follows a police officer named the Crona who is trying to investigate this murder mystery, and she's trying to unravel what's going on. Also in this world, the magic again is kind of subtle and it's kind of implied. Not You don't really see people with magical skills, but you do see some things that are magical in nature, right? And then there's gods in this world, but they are like like a backdrop. So they're not the main focus, but you do kind of see the effects of having these gods and what it does on the people. So Decrona, like I said, she's just a regular policewoman, but she is investigating a string of murders that relates or it closely aligns to a string of murders they had a couple years, like a long time ago, maybe 100 or 200 years, I don't know. But there was 200 years ago a well-known serial killer. And so fast forward to the present time, they are finding out that there is a copycat pretty much. And so the coroner is trying to figure out, who is trying to copy this Louis Chevron guy. On the other hand, we're also following the timeline of the actual serial killer from when he was alive. So it's a dual timeline, which I think is fantastic. I also think because of that murder mystery, you're just like, what is going on? It's like, who done it, but in a very, very spooky way, because we also actually descend into the mind of the serial killer, like literally. So they have this fascinating technology called death mask. So if someone dies, you can literally cut off his face or their face and make a mask out of it. And that mask, if someone, they treat it and they do all this kind of stuff on it, and then it's wearable. So if I wear the mask, I actually have the powers of whoever was the owner of the mask. So for example, if the owner of the mask was a renowned, like how do I say it, Galileo or like Isaac Newton, I would be super smart and I would know everything about physics. If it was like a well-known like Da Vinci or like an artist, you would literally be able to draw. So they have the death mask of this serial killer, and I think it's stolen, and that's why they know that someone is copycatting the murders, right? So I think it's so fascinating, and it's really like you really don't know who the bad person is, and we just kind of follow the coroner, investigate, and try to figure out exactly what's going on. I feel like I spent so much time on this book, but that's how phenomenal the book is. I wish like everyone would read this book. It's so good. So the last book that I wanted to talk about, which I think it does fit into like if you're getting ready to for fall, and that would be Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Now, this one just came out this year, so it's a super, super new book. But this is a toxic lesbian vampire story, and it is spooky because vampires operate in the shadows, in the dark, and so you do literally see the vampires that we're following in this book, how they kind of slither around in the dark, and there's multiple timelines that we're following three women and how they first of all came to become vampires and also their lives adapting, and the multiple timelines, like I said, is from we start from like 1700s or something like that, and it kind of works its way up to 2024 or 2025, not sure which year. I think she did 2024. So it's about vampires, like really dark ones, not like I don't know if there's like any fun vampires, but these are like really dark and toxic vampires. And so I think it's really spooky. Also because there's like towards the end of the book, it just kind of goes crazy. So if you like vampires, this is a good one, and it's definitely macabre. It's spooky-ish because you're just trying to like figure out. Whenever, even when the book was released, she did not, and V.E. Schwab did not really give so much into what the book was about. There was literally this blurb that says, three young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high, one grows deep, and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. So you can see like it's not so it's not descriptive. So I don't want to say too much. Like that's all I'm going to say. It's actually really fun. I enjoyed reading this book, and I think it's such a great book for fall. But yeah, those are about 5 books that if you are looking to get into the fall season, I think are great books that will get you into it. But yeah, let me know if you have any books that you would recommend to start reading for fall. And thank you so much for watching. And I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, bye.